I I just finished watching today a video by Jen Love called "Behind the Controversy: Two-Faced, the Rise and Fall of Two-Faced," and I had to mention this, guys. It's really sad. The part where she said that it is very appalling and disgusting that he had this cake on which it read "Rich Lives Matter." I found it so funny that Westerners. I'm gonna tell you first my background. I'm Syrian from Syria, so I'm not gonna say Middle Eastern because I'm Levantine from the Levant. This is more accurate. This is who real Semitic people are, not based on their religion, because race is not religion. It has nothing to do with religion. DNA has nothing to do with religion. My ancestors were at one point Jewish, then Christian, that's another issue, and then Muslim. So, and we've lived together for so many years with Jews, and Eastern Europeans are Eastern Europeans, even if they're of of a different religion, even if they're Jewish or whatever. So are the American Jewish people. So, anyways, I had to mention this quickly. So, I'm from the Levant, or what is also called now part of the Levant, called Syria. And I also have Canadian citizenship, and I've been to Germany. So, I know I lived in Germany for a bit, for like a month. So I know Western society. I was raised in Canada for part of my childhood, and I went back there as an adult. So I could tell the differences between the Eastern mind or Eastern society, Eastern ways of thinking, and the Western ways of thinking. And it always came back to me this saying that Osho said. Osho is an Indian mystic. He said that the East and the West, even though Syria is actually in the middle, but it's more, I think, Eastern in a way. I don't know, at least in regard to this. So he said the East and West, they need to be bridged because there is this gap. They are they are different and they need to reconcile, just like the left and right sides of the brain. So there is a feminine side and a masculine side, and it's the same for the East and the West because the macrocosm is a reflection of the microcosm. What's in is without. What is inside of us is reflected outside. So, um, and it came back to me, this saying of his, because I noticed how true this is. In so the, Jen Love is an American, and she's a typical American, unfortunately. Her and all the people in the comment that agree with her whenever she makes such judgments, like such stupid judgments, I have to say there because she makes them like she 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 doesn't try to give the benefit of the doubt. She just immediately goes into this reactive mode of, oh no, how could you, or oh no, this is I don't know what, and she starts labeling, this is discrimination, this is blah blah. I don't know. To me, it didn't sound like anything appalling or disgusting. The fact that he put "Rich Lives Matter" on the cake. I thought it was funny because it just highlighted the irony of of how, it's silly to think that rich people need to be defended or that they need activism, or that they need someone to defend them or to say that their lives matter. It's kind of an irony, kind of silly. It is silly because that's why it's funny. It's silly because it's not true. It's silly because it's not appalling, it's not disgusting, it's just silly. It's silly because of the irony. I don't know. But when you take your victimhood too seriously, okay, or the victimhood of others because you see yourself in them, it this is what happens. It is very lame. And unfortunately, this is all over the world. This is what are so patriarchal. This is what patriarchy is in the Western world. It manifests like that. In the Eastern world, it also manifests, but just differently. In Syria, I see patriarchy too, but people, but not like that, because people, they don't take themselves seriously. They actually they're they're they do, like, they're too easygoing to the point that they're silly, that they don't know their worth, that they don't have respect for themselves and for each other. Sometimes you see that. You see that being manifested. Okay, I see that in my society. But in in the Western society, it's also, I'm also Canadian, so but I don't feel like I belong to neither the West nor the East. And I do feel that I am aware of these differences because I need to bridge them in me also, and to see how I can be the change I need to see in the world. But the fact that she keeps, it's not just this video, in so many of her videos, she keeps judging and making those judgments, and she keeps making those reactive, like taking those reactive statements, like making reactive, like, or, I don't know what exactly the word now, a reactive stance. She takes a reactive stance, and she thinks it's because she's important. No, it's not because she's important. It's because this cause is important, and because she's so aware and intelligent and smart and important, quote unquote. I mean, it's how the unconscious mind is thinking. It's because it feeds on the importance of something, so it needs to always be appalled and disgusted by something because it knows better. It's so silly. Like, also, this argument she keeps making about how the younger generation, it's unbelievable how they're being fear mongered, because they fear sunscreen. Okay, I don't think we should fear sunscreen. I don't think we should fear anything. But don't you see how you are being fear mongered because you fear the sun? You think it causes cancer, and our ancestors never knew what cancer was for thousands of years, and they were always being exposed to the sun. It was daily life. How can you not have just common sense? How can you be so afraid of the sun, and then you go on and tell others that they're fear mongering others because they're telling them to not be afraid of the sun? Okay, maybe they shouldn't be afraid of sunscreens. They shouldn't be afraid of anything. They should do what they want, what they feel like it. But that doesn't mean, I mean, I think that fearing the sun is so much more stupid, because sunscreen is a new invention, and it is not one of the basic things that humans have lived with for, not just lived with, I mean, it's the source of our life, humans' life. I don't know. It's so strange and so at the same time stupid. I don't know. Sometimes I guess when you think you know too much, you become stupid because you know, because you're knowledgeable, and this knowledge becomes like an obstacle in the way of your being open-minded, or in the way of your being integral, like knowing how to integrate different point of views, and how to forgive others, or how to try to give them the benefit of the doubt, how to be tolerant. It becomes a way in the way, it becomes an obstacle in the way of tolerance. And this is how even American society do not have compassion or tolerance to each other. Maybe they have respect, but not really. How can you respect each other when you don't really have this tolerance? So I see disrespect for people, for each other in my society in Syria, as a Syrian person in the Levant, and probably in the Arab world, but that also applies to the Western world. And but just in a different way. It's a different mind, but they're both different sides of the mind, you know. And it's so sad. It makes me sad, and it's not the first time, but I mean, It makes me even sadder to see the comments, and this is typical Western mind behavior. I mean, what can I say? I was in Canada once, and just because I brushed up against someone as I was walking, and I didn't tell her I'm sorry, because I tried to just pass by without saying, "Hey, sorry, could you please give me like space so that I can pass?" I didn't do that. I was too lazy, I guess. I just tried to make my way through without telling her to, without saying sorry. And she looked at me. I just brushed her. Just brushed her shoulder again, my shoulder against hers. And she was like, she looked at me so angrily with this fierce look on her face saying, "Don't you know how to say sorry?" And I'm like, what's the matter? Why are people here? Why do they take themselves so seriously? I mean, this was scary because in Syria, people are the opposite. In Syria, people they step on each other's toes. They don't stand in line. They're always so chaotic. They step on each other. They step on each other's toes to get to somewhere, or as they're like standing in the no line, the line, quote unquote. There's no line. And here it's the opposite. I mean, in Canada, I thought to myself, it's the opposite. They take laws and regulations too seriously, too seriously. They leave no room for spontaneity. They leave no room for just easy, let go, easy going. Yeah, I mean, what do you call it, you know? And in Syria, it's the opposite. People do not respect any rule. They want to do everything by themselves according to how they feel like they want to do it in the moment, with total disregard to to the general system, or yeah, or to others sometimes in some cases. So both ways are toxic. Let's learn. Let's try to learn, and let's try to bridge that gap by doing that in by looking at ourselves. That's all I have to say. As societies and as individuals.